I have a very interesting guest here with me today. We're speaking to Tessa Gunn from Obzervr. And Obzervr is an interesting company. It's basically, essentially, you could say, it's a personal digital assistant, but in the pocket of every frontline worker in a remote environment. And we're going to be learning what that actually means and in which type of remote environments Obzervr actually gets to go and gets to be used. Basically, Obzervr is, on the front line there as the Internet of Things is for the machines. Obzervr is basically for the human data, and what that really means and how it's being leveraged. That's what we're going to be learning today from Tessa Gunn and how she's been pushing the marketing team forward. So Tessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Very good. So, to do its full justice, maybe if you could tell us all about Obzervr in your own words, that would be great.
Yep, sure. So basically Obzervr is a platform to connect so the people in the field, the trades and the operators to middle management and then up to boardrooms. So it's a field mobility app, and as you were saying, it's a personal digital assistant in the pocket of every frontline worker. We specialize in remote personnel. So whether you're, we've got clients in the Middle East with not a lot of connectivity. We've got small power stations in Canada that are French speaking. So all their forms in that Canadian French dialect. We've got guys working 5 kilometres underground in coal mines in central Queensland in Australia who are actively using our tablets with Obzervr on them to do every single piece of audit or check or work order that ordinarily they would have done on paper form. So basically, we're the forefront of every operating model, of our clients. So we turn their operating model from a paper model to a digitized model that is more effective, it's more productive, it's more safe. That's a huge one for us is safety. So yeah, we touch on management planning, predictive maintenance through our mobility app, as well as rostering shifts, deployment of personnel. So just say, it's a Tuesday morning and you've got 15 contractors on site, and all of a sudden you have a maintenance task that can't be pushed back to tomorrow. It needs to be done now. So through Obzervr, you can deploy that amount of people onto another job. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I would say that we are really a game changer for the mining, oil and gas industries, and even the renewables. We've got quite a few renewable clients now, and we are heading to the AOG conference in Perth in 2021, which is now including renewables as well. And I guess it's how the world's going. So, yeah.
Very good. I mean, that gives a really interesting and very concise roundabout what Obzervr is all about. I would be curious. You mentioned obviously the industries that you're operating in. Like, what would be the typical clients and the typical companies, or maybe even the typical individuals within those companies that would be championing for Obzervr?
Okay, so from the get-go, we try and engage, obviously, higher management who are decision makers, who will be raising the purchase orders and can talk to us about the decisions within the company and where the company's heading. However, once we start Obzervr and the ball is rolling and we're on site and we're seeing what the business is about, we actually really like to get down to the nitty gritty. So we like to get to site and we really like to see the miners or see the operators and actually ask them what they want out of the app, or what they can foresee is the way of the future. And we like those guys to be on our steering committee. We like a cross section of the workforce. So not just the bosses or the people in the boardrooms, but the people doing the work orders on the ground, on the day-to-day, who are doing the 12-hour shifts back to back on crews and all the rest of it. We like those guys to have input. That's really important to our business.
That's super interesting. I really love how you guys are, actually learning in the field, because I mean this is where it's being used. Super interesting. You mentioned also obviously decision makers bringing the product on board. Like, what would be a typical journey, right, that somebody goes through in order to learn about Obzervr, becoming interested and getting started? Like, what would be the typical client acquisition channels, for example, digital channels or offline channels that you leverage?
Okay, so for us, we're fairly young in our marketing strategy. I will be completely honest with you. However, that doesn't mean that what we're doing isn't effective. So a lot of our, as you would know, being a marketing person, a lot of our clientele is word of mouth, which is of course the most effective marketing tool. However, you can't, it's the most effective, but it's the worst because you can't guide it through. It's just something that happens, so you can't measure it. It's terrible, but it's wonderful all at the same time. So for example, we've got a blue chip client. I can't say their name unfortunately, but we've got a blue chip client at the moment. We're doing lots and lots of work with, and they have spoken to one of their other blue chip I guess competitors, and said what they're doing. And that blue chip has now contacted us and said, we're really interested for a demo. We know what these guys are doing. We kind of want to jump on board. We've had this incident happen. We've got this happening in the field. The guys aren't filling in their work orders until the last 30 minutes of their shift. We know that they're doing their work, but it's just not effective to do a 12-hour shift. 11 and a half hours is unaccounted for, and then in the last half an hour you've got 6 to 7 forms being done with the time of the last half an hour. It's just not effective. And when you're working remotely, it's not safe to do business like that, because if it's done as you're doing the job, you can really tell. It's a better indication of your KPIs. And if you're remote, Obzervr time stamps you, location stamps you. So you really, when that's pinging back every 30 seconds, people know where you are. They know your location. Yep. They know what you're doing. And just, if I can touch on KPIs again, it gives the planners a really good indication when you're doing your job in real time, and uploading stuff as it's being done, an indication of whether their KPIs are actually accurate. You don't want a 2,000-hour service being done and you've allocated in the grand plan, you've allocated 4 hours for it, and then you can't understand why you keep going over, and you're not meeting your KPIs. With Obzervr, it becomes really obvious in real time where the roadblock is. All of a sudden you're going, hang on a sec, I've allocated 3 hours, but it's actually taken these guys 4.5 hours, and it's not just one operator that's taking 4.5 hours. This is across the board. This isn't a personnel issue. This is actually a planning issue, and it then becomes, a KPI issue, because you're not reaching targets and you're looking bad when you're all sitting with the mine manager in a meeting every morning and you're not meeting your KPIs every single day, or every week, every fortnight, every month, and it makes your department look really, really bad, like you're not managing it properly. But sometimes it's as simple as changing up your KPIs based on data and analytics.
Makes a lot of sense. Super interesting. What I would be curious is, right, what role does the website play in people, getting started with Obzervr?
Okay, so we have a lot of traffic to our website. We have blogs on there. I'm not sure if you've been on there, but we have blogs uploaded maybe once a week, once every couple of weeks. We have case studies on there. We have information just based on what people would want to know as their first stop. Okay, so you're in the buyer process, you've heard about Obzervr, but you're not really sure, is it just another one of these things that you have on site that you pay for that no one really uses, and it's hiding information, and it's just another spend and another trend? No, we're not one of those. In fact, that's where we're different, because we bring all those applications together, or all those programs together, and we draw the information that's hidden out of them and back into Obzervr. And then we get the data and analytics out of everything. So we're like a middleman, really. We're like this little hub that's drawing everything from everywhere else, and we are then giving meaning to that data and analytics. So finally, all those ERPs are making sense. Okay, that's why we got this ERP. That's why we paid for it 5 years ago, and we're finally seeing the benefits of it through Obzervr. So basically, I've actually forgotten the question now, but yeah, that's where.
Very good. No, I think you answered it. You answered it very precisely. You were how the website actually plays a role, and the traffic being generated, people learning about it. What would you say is the strength of the website? Is it the ability that once somebody comes to the website, that they're, for example, actually decide to sign up? Is it the quality of the requests that you're getting from the page? Is it the content that you provide? Where do you see a strength at the moment of the website?
I think the strength is that we share. So we share everything on there. It's like a hub of Obzervr. We share our blogs, we share our updates on our app, so our latest releases you can see on there. We share client experiences. Obviously, a lot of our clients keep it very close to their chest what they're doing. We are part of their plan. So some of them don't want their competitors to know that we are working with them, and that's totally fine. We honor that, and it's just part of the contract and the process. So, but when a client comes to us and says, right, we've got you fully deployed, we're ready to talk, we're ready to say that, hey, we are saving 1 million pieces of paper per operator per year, and put our name to it. Like, we share that stuff, and we really we really make it known that, hey, we're making a difference. So you can see that stuff on our website. You can see also an overview. So that's not just written by people like me. I've worked in the mining industry for the past 13 years at an underground mine, but also open cut as well. And so obviously I have a little bit of knowledge about the mining industry, and I studied journalism. So I can write about it, but I don't know much about the tech side. So some of these blogs are written by, some of our guys have 3 and 4 degrees in technology and data science and all this kind of stuff. So we get them to write blogs as well. So I'm speaking to the miner on the ground who doesn't really know about the technical side, but knows about the stuff I'm talking about. But then we have our techs writing about stuff that, maybe the IT manager wants to read, or so basically it's a holistic place where we keep our information for everyone in the company to understand. So we're not just a lot of data scientists sitting in the room writing code. When we're not that at all. We are actually, I'm far from that. I think I'm those guys' worst nightmare, to be honest. But yeah, we're different. We're a company that can talk to the miner, we can talk to the CEO, and everyone in between. We can talk to the techs, we can we can get our tech guys involved in your tech guys, so there's no middleman kind of confusing the situation. Hey, look, talk to our CTO. He's worked for Microsoft for many years. He knows what he's talking about. He was writing code at 12 years old. Like he is amazing. And yeah, it all stems from there. It all depends on what the client wants and what kind of person or what credentials they have as to how we talk to them or how we explain things to them.
Very good. On the flip side, though, for the website, where do you see room for improvement, right? Would it be, I don't know, potentially, the amount of people signing up from the traffic that you're getting, or the quality of the leads, or, where do you see room for improvement?
Definitely more leads. I mean, you can't go past more leads. Probably getting our socials and our website working a bit better from directing each other or directing your socials back to your website and getting more clicks, I guess. And also probably making sure the information is always evolving. I think that's a huge one. You get so busy in your day-to-day that you forget to update. So yeah, that's a huge one. We're actually at the moment undergoing a bit of a project to update all of our website to reflect the new functionality.
Very cool. And like you brought up the leads there from the website. What have you learned, or maybe what have you tried already in order to increase the amount of leads that are coming through the page?
Okay, so we've kind of delved into Google Ads a little bit, and we obviously refer back to our website on our socials all the time. So that's Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And I run all that through, we run all our CRM through HubSpot as well. So we send out MailChimps, we send out mail to our customers and potential customers all the time. But in regards to our website, I mean, I guess it's just a work in progress. It's just seeing what works and what doesn't work. Yeah.
Makes sense. If we come back to the product, right, for everybody who's listening, what would you say is the main competitive advantage of using Obzervr?
I think that we are leading the game in so much as you can work offline and online. So basically, obviously our guys underground or in remote oil rigs, offshore oil rigs mightn't have connectivity all the time. So you can work offline or online, and once you get back into connectivity, it synchronizes every 30 seconds. So your connection is established, which makes you can work whenever, wherever. For example, we did a airstrip in Antarctica a little while ago, and obviously that's one of the remote centers in the world, and our app works there. So I think that we're in almost real time, and I personally believe that we're leaders in the industry. I will run you through a couple of others though that I've written down. Simplicity. A lot of these apps aren't simple. They're not for the average end user or the guys in the field. They're really finicky. We're not. We're really simple. So we focus on higher outputs, and we gain control of the basics, improve consistency. So we improve productivity by 45 to 55%, which is huge. And also we have open integration. So basically we integrate with other enterprise-wide business processes and data flows. So that's a huge one.
Very interesting. That definitely gives a very good picture about the product. If we look behind the curtains a little bit about the company, right? How would you say is sales and marketing structured at the moment? How do they work together?
So interestingly, we've just got a new sales manager, Ashley. And Ashley comes from working a long time in the industry. He has a lot of experience. So I've only come on as the marketing manager, or sorry, I'm not even the manager, I'm the marketing coordinator. So I've only come on in the last 6 months of doing that. So Ash and I are working together, and we are really solidifying the sales and marketing process right now. So basically, Obzervr is quite a young company. We've been doing it since 2016. So right now it's something we're really working on, sales and marketing, and how that looks, really. So yeah, it's all a work in progress.
Very good. Maybe one last question on the marketing before we start to slowly but surely finishing up the interview, and where we learn a little bit about yourself. What I would be curious is, right, if a lead signs up on the website today, like what happens? You mentioned the CRM, HubSpot being there. Like, what's the journey that a lead goes through then?
Okay, so basically, if they signed up on the website today for a demo, Ashley or myself would contact them and would introduce ourselves, would say when's a good time to suit your schedule, that we can book it in. Obviously, I'm in the US, Ash is in Australia, and we often get people who are in the Middle East or who are in Canada or the US, different time zones. So we work out a time that's, good for them. And Ash and I will wake up at whatever time in the day or night. Sometimes the CEO, Tanya Walter, comes on. Sometimes our partner manager, Camilla Mainardi, comes on. We all dial into this call. Ash and Tanya deliver the demo. So they talk about all the nitty-gritty, all the stuff that people just want to know and that we don't show on our website, because, we've got competitors, and we want to keep some aspects of Obzervr for the specific people who really want us. So that's where our demo comes in. And then from there, we often have a second and third demo for, obviously, top tier clients. It can take up to 6 to 8 months or even a year to get them to sign off, or to get us to really, for them to investigate our security. We've got the best security out of any of our competitors. We've got the best. And we then provide them support. We go to their sites, we meet them, or we go to their head offices, but most of the time it's their sites. It doesn't matter how remote they are. Obviously right now with COVID, it's a little bit funny. We can't fly, so we have to do it all virtually, which isn't ultimate, but we still get the job done. And when we are on site, we'll walk through their wash plants, or we'll walk through their underground pit, or we'll walk through wherever it is they want to take us and show us where the roadblocks are. We walk through, and from then, once they're signed up, we build the strategy with them. And then our guys in the background, our data scientists, they build the platform for them. So it's not just a one size fits all. We, depending on their needs and their wants, we build them something pretty special, a platform and dashboards that really suit their business.
Awesome. Since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview, I would love to, learn a little bit about yourself as a marketing leader in the team. What's the type of content that you consume? How do you, keep on educating yourself in the area of marketing? Like, what's your go-to places?
Okay, so I'm actually studying at the moment a course in marketing through the Marketing Institute. So I'm doing that. I don't know if I've told you a bit of my background, but I actually went to uni to be a journalist and ended up being a radio announcer. And then I worked in that field for a very long time, and I ended up being a marketing manager at the age of 22. And then, you know what, I just wanted to see change. So I went and worked at an underground mine for 12 years. And in that time, I had my children, and my husband also worked there. And then we moved to Brisbane, Australia, in Queensland, and I was like, oh, there's no underground mines here. Where am I going to work? And it just so happens that Tanya, the CEO of Obzervr, and I had a mutual colleague or a mutual friend, and we got introduced that way. So, and then all of a sudden I was in the business, but, you know, I was not really sure where I was in the business. And then I just fell into marketing, and, you know, it's something I'm passionate about. When I was working at the mines, I also had my own business, and it was a lot of, it was a food business, but there was a lot of marketing and running my own website, and doing all my own organic marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I never didn't do marketing. It was always in my life. It just wasn't in a paid position. So yeah, to answer your question, I do a lot of reading. I listen to or I read a lot of blogs and read books about marketing. And yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of study to get on top of it again.
Very cool. So since we're coming to, you know, the very end of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. That's usually, you know, one sharp question and, you know, a brief answer. You ready for those?
Yes, sure.
Awesome. What's the last book you read?
I am reading a book called The Tattooist of Auschwitz.
Mm-hmm. What's the one single thing that Obzervr is focused on the most at the moment?
Safety.
Mm-hmm. If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you would wanted to have fixed for Obzervr today?
Probably to be embedded in all the mines in Australia, so that the year that has been in the safety didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
And the very last question would be, if today would be your very first day, you mentioned you joined a couple of months ago. If today would be your very first day joining Obzervr, what would be the one advice that you would give yourself?
Probably that I'm just a big believer in the universe provides you where you need to be. So to trust in the journey. It's the only way to live.
Very cool. That's really great. Thanks a lot for being part with us on the show today. I want to give you the last word, right? If somebody forget everything about the interview that we learned about Obzervr today, what's the one single thing that they should remember about Obzervr?
That safety is at the heart of our business, and we've built it into our platform. So every time your operators open Obzervr, they open Obzervr, they do safety as their first protocol to make sure that they're ready and going to be safe for the job.
Very good. Thanks for being part of the show.
Thanks, Lucas.